The Ride to the Lady by Helen G. Cone. Recorded for LibriVox.org by Jude. Now, since mine even is come at last, for I have been the sport of steel, and hot life y beat from me fast, and I in saddle roll and reel. Come bind me on my steed, of fingering leech I have no need. The chaplain clasped his mailed knee. Nor need I more thy wine and thee? No time is left my sins to tell, but look ye, bind me well. They bound him strong with leathern thong, for the ride to the lady should be long. Day was dying, the poplars fled, thin as ghosts on a sky blood red. Out of the sky the fierce hue fell, and made the streams as the streams of hell. All his thoughts as a river flowed aflame as fleet he rode. Onward flowed to her abode, ceased at her feet, mirrored her face. Viewless death apace, rode behind him in that race. Face mine own, mine alone, trembling lips my lips have known, bird-like stir of the dove's soft aim, under the kisses that make them mine. Only of thee my need, only to thee I speed. The cross flashed by at the highway's turn, in a beam of the moon the face shone stern. Far behind had the fight's din died, the shuddering stars in the welkin ride, crowded to see him ride. The beating hearts of the stars aloof kept time to the beat of the horse's hoof. What is the throb that thrills so sweet? Heart of my lady, I feel it beat, but his own strong pulse the fainter fell, like the failing tongue of a hushing bell. The flank of the great-limbed steed was wet, not alone with the started sweat. Fast, and the thick black wood arched its cowl like a black friar's hood. Fast, and they plunged therein, but the viewless rider rode to win. Out of the wood to the highway's light galloped the great-limbed steed in fright. The mail clashed cold, and the sad owl cried, and the weight of the dead oppressed his side. Fast by the road he knew, and slow the stars withdrew, and the waiting heaven turned weirdly blue. As a garment worn of a wizard grim, he neighed at the gate in the morning dim. She heard no sound before her gate, though very quiet was her bower. All was as her hand had left it late. The needle slept on the broidered vine, where the hammer and spikes of the passion flower her fashioning did wait. On the couch lay something fair, with steadfast lips and veiled aim. But the lady was not there. On the wings of shrift and prayer, pure as winds that winnow snow, her soul had risen 12 hours ago. The burdened steel at the barred gate stood, no whit the nearer to his goal. Now God's great grace assoil the soul that went out in the wood. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The First Guest by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by James Thornhill. When the house is finished, death enters. Eastern Proverb. Life's house being ready all, each chamber fair and dumb, ere life, the Lord is come, with pomp into his hall, ere toil has trod the floors, ere love has lit the fires, or young great-eyed desires have timid tried the doors, or, from east window leaned, one hope to greet the sun, or one grey sorrow screened her sight against the west, then enters the first guest, the house of life being done. He waits there in the shade, I deem he is life's twin, for whom the house was made, whatever his true name, be sure to enter in, he has both key and claim. The daybeams, free of fear, creep drowsy toward his feet, his heart were heard to beat, were any there to hear, are not for ends malign, like wild thing crouched in lair, or watcher of a snare, but with a friend's design. He lurks in shadow there. He goes not to the gates to welcome any other, nay, not a lord's life, his brother, but still his hour waits, each several guest to find, alone, yea, quite alone, pacing with pensive mind, the cloister's echoing stone, or singing unaware at the turning of the stair. 'Tis truth, though we forget, in life's house enters none. Who shall that seekers shun? Who shall not so be met? Is this mine hour? Each saith, so be it, gentle death. Each has his way to end, encountering the friend. Griefs die to memories mild, hope turns to a weaned child. Love shines a spirit white, with eyes of deepened light. When many a guest has passed, some day 'tis life's at last, to front the face of death. Then casements closed, men say, Lord Life is gone away. He went, we trust and pray, to God who gave him breath. Beginning end he is. Are not these sons both his? Lo, these with him are one. To phrase it so were best. God's self is that first guest, the house of life being done. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Silence by Helen Gray Cone, read for LibriVox.org by Rosehip. Silence. Why should I sing of earth or heaven, not rather rest? Powerless to speak of that which hath my soul possessed, for full possession dumb? Yea, silence, that were best. And though for what it failed to sound I brake the string, and dashed the sweet lute down, a too much fingered thing, and found a wild new voice, oh, still why should I sing? An earth song could I make, strange as the breath of earth, filled with the great calm joy of life and death and birth. Yet, were it less than this, the song were little worth. For this the fields caress, brown clods tell each to each, sad coloured leaves have sense whereto I cannot reach, spiced everlasting flowers outstrip my range of speech. A heaven song could I make, all fire that yet was peace, and tenderness not lost, though glory did increase. But were it less than this, 'twere well the song should cease. For this the still west saith, with plumy flames bestrewn, heaven's body sapphire clear, at stirless height of noon, the cloud where lightnings pulse, beside the untroubled moon. I will not sing of earth or heaven, but rather rest, wrapped by the face of heaven, and hold on earth's warm breast. Hushed lips, a beating heart, yea, silence, that were best. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Arraignment by Helen Gray Cone, read for LibriVox.org by Anusha Iyer. Not ye who have stoned, not ye who have smitten us, cry the sad great souls as they go out hence into dark. Not ye we accuse, though for you was our passion born. And ye we reproach not, who silently passed us by. We forgive blind eyes and the ears that would not hark, the careless and causeless hate and the shallow scorn. But ye who have seemed to know us, have seen and heard, who have set us at feasts and have crowned with the costly rose, who have spread us the purple of praises beneath our feet, yet guessed not the word that we spake was a living word. Applauding the sound, we account you as worse than foes, we sobbed you our message. Ye said, "It is song and sweet." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Going Out of the Tide by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Rosehip. The Going Out of the Tide. The eastern heaven was all faint amethyst, whereon the moon hung dreaming in the mist. To north yet drifted one long delicate plume of roseate cloud, like snow the ocean spume. Now, when the first foreboding swiftly ran through the loud glorying sea, that it began to lose its late-gained lordship of the land, uprose the billow like an angered man, and flung its prone strength far along the sand. Almost, almost to the old bound, the dark and taunting triumph mark. But no, 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 and slow, and slow, and slow, like a heart losing hold, this wave must go, must go, must go, dragged heavily back, back, beneath the next wave plunging on its track, charging with thunderous and defiant shout to foredetermined rout. Again, again the unexhausted main renews fierce effort, drawing force unguessed from awful deeps of its mysterious breast. Like arms of passionate protest, tossed in vain, the spray upflings above the billow's crest. Again the appulse, again the backward strain, till ocean must have rest. With one abandoned movement, swift and wild, as though bowed head and outstretched arms it laid on the earth's lap, soft sobbing, hushed and stayed, the great sea quiets, like a soothed child. Ha! What sharp memory clove the calm, and drave this last fleet furious wave? On, endures the struggle into night, ancient as time, yet fresh as the fresh hour, as oft repeated since the birth of light, as the strong agony and mortal fight of human souls, blind reaching, with the power aloof, unmoved, impossible to cross, whose law is seeming loss. Low sunken from the longed-for triumph mark, the spent sea sighs as one that grieves in sleep. The unveiled moon along the rippling plain casts many a keen, cold, shifting silvery spark, wild as the pulses of strange joy that leap even in the quick of pain. And she compelling, she that stands for law as law for will eternal, perfect, clear, and uncompassionate shines, to her appear vast sequences, close linked without a flaw, all past despairs of ocean unforgot, all raptures past. Serene her light she gives, the moon too high for pity, since she lives aware that loss is not. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
King Raedwald by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. King Raedwald. Will you hear now the speech of King Raedwald, heathen Raedwald, the simple yet wise? He, the ruler of North folk and South folk, a man open browed as the skies, held the eyes of the eager Italians with his blue, bold Englishman's eyes. In his hall on his throne, so he sat, with the light of the fire on him full, coloured bright as the ring of red gold on his hand, fit to buffet a bull, was the mane that grew down on his neck, was the beard he would pondering pull. To the priests, to the eager Italians, thus fearless he poured his free speech. O my honey-tongued fathers, I turn not away from the faith that ye teach, not the less hath a man many moods, and may ask a religion for each. Grant that all things are well with the realm on a delicate day of the spring, Easter month, time of hopes and of swallows, the praises, the psalms that ye sing, as in pleasant accord they float heavenward, are good in the ears of the king. Then the heart bubbles forth with clear waters to the time of this wonder word peace, from the chanting and preaching whereof ye, who serve the white Christ, never cease, and your curly soft incense ascending enwraps my content like a fleece. But a churl comes adrip from the rivers, pants me out, fallen, spent on the floor. O King Raedwald, Northumberland marches, and to-morrow knocks hard at thy door, hot for melting thy crown on the hearth. Then commend me to Woden and Thor. Could I sit then and listen to preachments on turning the cheek to the blow, and saying a prayer for the smiter, and holding my seen treasure low, for the sake of a treasure unseen? By the sledge of the Thunderer, no! For my thought flashes out as a sword, cleaving counsel as clottage of cream, and your incense and chanting are but as the smoke of burnt towns and the scream, and I quaff me the thick mead of triumph from enemies' skulls in my dream. And 'tis therefore this day I resolve me, for King Raedwald will cringe not nor lie, I will bring back the altar of Woden, in the temple will have it, hard by, the new altar of this your white Christ, as my mood may decide, worship I. So he spake in his large self-reliance, he, a man open-browed as the skies, would not measure his soul by a standard that was womanish weak to his eyes, smite his breast and go on with his sinning, savage Raedwald, the simple yet wise. And the centuries bloom over his barrow, but for us, have we mastered it quite, the old riddle, that sweet is strong's outcome, the old marvel, that meekness is might, that the child is the leader of lions, that forgiveness is force at its height? When we summon the shade of rude Raedwald, in his candour how king-like he towers, have the centuries over his slumber only borne sterile falsehoods for flowers? Pray you, what if Christ found him the nobler, having weighed his frank manhood with ours? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ivo of Chartres by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Joey Rosca. Now may it please my lord, Louis the King, Lily of Christ and France, riding his quest. I, Bishop Ivo, saw a wondrous thing. There was no light of sun left in the west, and slowly did the moon's new light increase. Heaven, without cloud, above the near hill's crest, lay passion purple in a breathless peace. Stars started like still tears in rapture shed, which without consciousness the lids release. All steadily, one little sparkle red, afar drew close, a woman's form grew up. Out of the dimness, tall with queen-like head, and in one hand was fire, in one a cup. Of aspect grave she was, with eyes upraised, as one whose thoughts perpetually did sup at the Lord's table. While the cresset blazed, her I regarded, daughter whither bent, and wherefore? As by speech of man amazed, one moment her deep look to me she lent, then, in a voice of hymn-like solemn fall, calm as by roll, she spake out her intent. I, in my cruise bear water wherewithal, to quench the flames of hell, and with my fire I paradise would burn, that hence no small fear shall impel, and no mean hope shall hire men to serve God as they have served of yore, but to his will shall set their whole desire. For love, love, love alone forevermore, and love, love, love rang round her as she passed, from sight with mystic murmurs o'er and o'er, reverbed from hollow heaven, as from some vast, deep-coloured, vaulted, ocean-answering shell. I, Ivo, had no power to ban or bless, but was as one withholden by a spell. Forward she fared in lofty loneliness, urged on by an imperious inward stress, to waste fair Eden and to drown fierce hell. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Madonna Pia by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. Madonna Pia. Ricordati di me, che son la Pia. Siena mi fe, Thisbe mi maremma. Salsi colui che inanelata pria desposato m'avea con la sua gemma. Purgatorio, Canto 5. To westward lies the unseen sea, blue sea the live winds wander over. The many-colored sails can flee, and leave the dead low-lying shore. Her longing does not seek the main, her face turns northward first at morn. There, crowning all the wide champaign, Siena stood where she was born. Siena stands, and still shall stand, she never shall see or town or tower. Warm life and beauty, hand in hand, steal farther from her hour by hour. Yet forth she leans, with trembling knees, and northward will she stare and stare, through that thick wall of cypress trees, and sigh adown the stirless air. Shall no remembrance in Siena linger of me once fair, whom slow Maremma slays? As well he knows whose ring upon my finger hath sealed for his alone mine earthly days. From wilds where shudders through the weeds the dull mean-headed silent snake, like voiceless doubt that creeps and breeds from swamps where sluggish waters take, as lives unblest a passing love, the flag-flower's image in the spring, or seem, when flits the bird above, to stir within with shadowed wing. A present mounts its pallid mist to fold her close. She breatheth its breath, she waxes wan, by fever kissed, who weds her for his master, Death. Aside are set her dimmed hopes all. She counts no more the uncurrent horde. On great Death's neck she fain would fall, to own him for her proper lord. She minds the journey here by night, when some red sudden torch would blaze. She saw by fits with childish fright the cork trees twist beside the ways. Like dancing demon shapes they showed, with malice drunk, the bat beat by, the owlet sobbed, on they rode, she knew not where, she knows not why. For Nello, when in piteous wise she lifted up her look to ask, except the ever-burning eyes, his face was like a marble mask. And so it always meets her now, the tomb wherein at last he lies, shall bear such carven lips and brow, all save the ever-burning eyes. Perchance it is his form alone doth stroke his hound, at meat doth sit, and for the soul that was his own, a fiend awhile inhabits it, while he sinks through the fiery throng, down to fill an evil bond, since false conceit of others' wrong hath wrought him to a sin beyond. But she, if when her years were glad vain fluttering thoughts were hers that hid behind that gracious fame she had, if ever observance hard she did that sinful men might call her saint, white-handed Pia, dove-like eyed, The sick blank hours shall yet acquaint her heart with all her blameful pride. And death shall find her kneeling low, and lift her to the porphyry stair, and she from ledge to ledge shall go, stayed by the staff of that last prayer, until the high sweet singing wood, whence folk are rapt to heaven, she win. Therein the unpardoned never stood, nor may one sorrow nest therein. But through the Tuscan land shall beat her sorrow like a wounded bird, and if her suit at Mary's feet avail, its moan shall yet be heard by some just poet, who shall shed, whate'er the theme that leads his rhyme, bright words like tears above her, dead, entreating of the aftertime. Among you let her mournful memory linger. Siena bear her, whom Maremma slew, and this dark lord, who gave her maiden finger his ancient gem, the secret only knew. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Two Moods of Failure by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. 1. The Last Cup of Canary. Sir Harry Lovelock, 1645. So the powder's low and the larder's clean, and surrender drapes with its black impending all the stage for a sorry and sullen scene. Yet indulge me my whim of a madcap ending. Swam before us the field of our shame, and our souls walked afar, saw the glory, the blaze of the sun bursting over Dunbar, saw the faces of friends in the morn riding jocund to fight, saw the stern pallid faces again, as we saw them at night. Let us once more fill, ere the final chill, every vein with the glow of the rich canary, since the sweet hot liquor of life's to spill, of the last of the cellar what boots be cherry? Then hear the conclusion. I'll yield my breath, but my leal old house and my good blade never. Better one bitter kiss on the lips of death than to spoil defeat as a wife forever. Let the faithful fire hold the walls in ward till the roof tree crash. Be the smoke once riven while we flash from the gate like a single sword, true steel to the hilt, though in dull earth driven. Do you frown, Sir Richard, above your ruff in the Holbein yonder? My deed ensures you, for the flame like a fencer shall give rebuff to your blades that blunder, you Roundhead boors, you. And my ladies, a row on the gallery wall, not a sing-song sergeant or corporal sainted shall pierce their breasts with his Puritan ball, to annul the charms of the flesh, though painted. I have worn like a jewel thy life they gave, as the ring in mine ear I can lightly lose it. If my days be done, why my days were brave. If the end arrive, I as master choose it. Then fill to the brim, and a health, I say, to the liege King Charles, and I pray God bless him. 'Twould amend the worse vintage to drink dismay to the clamorous mongrel pack that press him. And a health to the fair women past recall, that like birds astray through the heart's hall flitted, to the lean devil Failure last of all, and the lees in his beard for a fiend outwitted. 2. The young man Charles Stewart revieweth the troops on Blackheath. Private Constant in Tribulation, Joyce, May 1660. We were still as a wood without wind, as 'twere set by a spell, stayed the gleam on the steel cap, the glint on the slant petronel. He to left of me drew down his grim grizzled lip with his teeth. I'll remember his look. So we grew like dumb trees on the heath. But the people were mad as with store of new wine. Oh, they cheered him, they capped him, they roared as he rode down the line. He that fled us at Worcester, the boy, the green briar shoot, the son of the Stuart on whom for his sin the great judgment was done. Swam before us the field of our shame, and our souls walked afar, Saw the glory, the blaze of the sun bursting over Dunbar, Saw the faces of friends in the morn riding jocund to fight, Saw the stern pallid faces again, as we saw them at night. O ye blessed who died in the Lord, would to God that we too had so passed! Only sad that we ceased His high justice to do, with the words of the psalm on our lips that from Israel's once came, How the Lord is a strong man of war, yea, the Lord is His name. Not for us, not for us who have served for His kingdom 7 years, yea, and yet other 7 have we served, sweating blood, bleeding tears, for the kingdom of God and the saints. Rachel's beauty made bold, yet we bear but a Leah at last to a hearth that is cold. Burned the fire while I mused, while I gloomed. In the end came a call, settled o'er me a calm like a cloud, spake a voice still and small, Take thou Leah to bride, take thou failure to bed and be bored. Thou shalt rear up new strengths at her knees, she is given of the Lord. If the weight of His right hand with power He denieth to deal, and the smoke clouds and thunders of guns, and the lightnings of steel, shall the cool silent dews of His grace in a season of peace not descend on the land as of old, for a sign o'er the fleece? Hath He cleft not the rock to the yield of a stream that is sweet? Hath He set in the ribs of the lion no honey for meat? Can He bring no delight to the desert, and buds to the rod? He will shine, He will visit His vine, He hath sworn, He is God. Then I thought of the gate I rode through on the roan that's long dead. I remember the dawn was but pale, and the stars overhead, of the babe that is grown to a maid, and of Martha my wife, and the spring on the worlds far away, and gave thanks for my life. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Story of the Orient by Helen Cone, recorded for LibriVox.org by Jude. 'Twas a pleasant Sunday morning, while the spring was in its glory, English spring of gentle glory, smoking by his cottage door. Florid-faced the man o' war's man told his white-haired boy the story, noble story of a booker told 100 times before. Hear the thesis, hear the vanguard as he spoke, each name sonorous: Minotaur, defence majestic, stanch old comrades of the brine, that against the ships of Bruces made their broadsides roar in chorus. Ranging daisies on his doorstone, deft he mapped the battle line, mapped the curve of tall 3-deckers, deft as might a man left-handed, who had given arm to England later on at Trafalgar, while he poured the praise of Nelson to the child with eyes expanded. Bright athwart his honest forehead blushed the scarlet cutlass scar, for he served aboard the Vanguard, saw the admiral blind and bleeding, borne below by silent sailors, born to die as then they deemed. Every stout heart sick but stubborn fought the sea dogs on unheeding. Guns were cleared and manned and cleared, the battle thundered, flashed and screamed, till a cry swelled louder and louder, towered on fire the Orient stately, Bruce's flagship, she that carried guns 100 and a score. Then came groping up the hatchway, he they counted dead but lately, came the little one armed admiral to guide the fight once more. Lower the boats, was Nelson's order, but the listening boy beside him, who had followed all his motions with an eager wide blue eye, nursed upon the name of Nelson till he half had defied him. Here, with childhood's crude consistence, broke the tale to question why. For by children facts go streaming in a throng that never pauses, noted not, till of a sudden thought a sunbeam gilds the motes. All at once the known words quicken, and the child would deal with causes. Since to kill the French was righteous, why bade Nelson lower the boats? Quick the man put by the question that the Orient none could save her. We could see the ships, the ensigns, clear as daylight by the flare, and a many leaped and left her, but God rest them, some were braver, some held by her, firing steady till she blew to God knows where. At the shock, he said, the vanguard shook through all her timbers oaken. It was like the shock of doomsday, not a tar but shuddered hard. All was hushed for one strange moment, then that awful calm was broken by the heavy plash that answered the descent of mast and yard. So her cannon still defying, and her colours flaming, flying, in her pit, her wounded helpless, on her deck, her admiral dead, soared the Orient into darkness, with her living and her dying. Yet our lads made shift to rescue 80 souls, the seaman said. Long the boy with knit brows wondered o'er that friending of the foeman. Long the man with shut lips pondered, powerless he to tell the cause. Why the brother in his bosom that desired the death of no man, in the crash of battle wakened, snapped the bonds of hate like straws. While he mused, his toddling maiden drew the daisies to a posy. Mild the bells of Sunday morning rang across the churchyard sod, and, helped on by tender hands, with sturdy feet, all bare and rosy, climbed his babe to mother's breast, as climbs the slow world up to God. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Resurrection by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Neither would they be persuaded, though one rose from the dead. I was quick in the flesh, was warm, and the live heart shook in my breast. In the market I bought and sold, in the temple I bowed my head. I had swathed me in shows and forms, and was honored above the rest for the sake of the life I lived, nor did any esteem me dead. But at last, when the hour was ripe, was it sudden remembered word? Was it sight of a bird that mounted, or sound of a strain that stole? I was ware of a spell that snapped, of an inward strength that stirred, of a presence that filled that place, and it shone, and I knew my soul. And the dream I had called my life was a garment about my feet, for the web of the years was rent with the throe of a yearning strong, with a sweep as of winds in heaven, with a rush as of flames that meet, the flesh and the spirit clasped. And I cried, was I dead so long? I had glimpse of the secret, flashed through the symbol obscure and mean, and I felt as a fire what erst I repeated with lips of clay. And I knew for the things eternal the things eye hath not seen. Yea, the heavens and the earth shall pass, but they never shall pass away. And the miracle on me wrought in the streets I would straight make known. When this marvel of mine is heard, without cavil shall men receive any legend of hallowed saint staring up through the sealed stone. So I spake in the trodden ways, but behold, there would none believe. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Glorious Company by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Joey Rosca. Faces, faces, faces of the streaming marching surge, streaming on the weary road toward the awful steep, whence your glowing glory as ye set to that sharp verge. Faces lit as sunlit stars, shining as ye sweep. Whence this wondrous radiance that ye somehow catch and cast? Faces rapt that one discerns mid the dusky press, herding in dull wonder, gathering fearful to the vast. Surely all is dark before, night of nothingness. Lo, the light, they answer. Oh, the pure, the pulsing light, beating like a heart of life, like a heart of love, soaring, searching, filling all the breadth and depth and height, welling, whelming with its peace worlds below, above. O my soul, how art thou to that living splendor blind, sick with thy desire to see even as these men see? Yet to look upon them is to know that God hath shined. Faces lit as sunlit stars, be all my light to me. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Trumpeter by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Gabi. The Trumpeter. Two ships alone in sky and sea hang clinched with crash and roar. There is but one, whiche'er it be, will ever come to shore. And will it be the grim black bulk that towers so evil now, or will it be the grace of God with the angel at her prow? The man that breathes the battle's breath may live at last to know, but the trumpeter lies sick to death in the stifling dark below. He hears the fight above him rave, he fears his mates must yield. He lies as in a narrow grave beneath the battlefield. His fate will fall before the ships, whate'er the ship betide. He lifts the trumpet to his lips as though he kissed a bride. Now blow thy best, blow thy last, my trumpet, for the right. He has sent his soul in one strong blast to hearten them that fight. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Comrades by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by James Thornhill. Oh, whither, whither, rider toward the west, and whither, whither, rider toward the east, I rode, we ride upon the same high quest, whereon who enters may not be released, to seek the cup whose form none ever saw, a nobler form than e'er was shapen yet, through million cups without a flaw, afire with gems, on princes' boards are set. To seek the wine whereof none ever had on draught, though may a generous wine flows free, the spiritual blood that shall make glad the hearts of mighty men that are to be. But shall one find it, brother, where I ride? Men mock and stare who never had the dream, yet hope within my breast has never died, nor ever died in mine that trembling gleam. Eastward I deem, the sun and all good things are born to bless us of the Orient old. Westward I deem, an untried ocean sings, against that coast new shores await the bold. God-speed, or thee or me, so coming men, but have the cup, God-speed. Not once before their eyes had met, nor ever met again, yet were they loving comrades evermore. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The House of Hate by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by James Thornhill. Mine enemy builded well, with the soft blue hills in sight, but betwixt his house and the hills I builded a house for spite, and the name thereof I set in the stonework over the gate, with a carving of bats and apes. I called it the House of Hate. And the front was alive with masks of malice and despair, horned demons that leered in stone, and women with serpent hair, that whenever his glance would rest on the soft hills far and blue, it must fall on mine evil work, and my hatred shall pierce him through. And I said, I will dwell herein, for beholding my heart's desire on my foe, and I knelt, and fain had brightened the hearth with fire, but the brands they would hiss and die, as with curses a strangled man, and the hearth was cold from the day that the House of Hate began. And I called at the open door, Make ye merry, all friends of mine, in the hall of my House of Hate, where is plentiful store and wine, and we will drink unhealth together unto him I have foiled and fooled. And they stared and they passed me by, but I scorned to be thereby schooled. And I ordered my board for feast, and I drank in the topmost seat choice grape from my curious cup. And the first it was wonder sweet, but the second was bitter indeed, and the third was bitter and black, and the gloom of the grave came on me, and I cast the cup to wrack. Alone, I was stark alone, and the shadows were each a fear, and thinly I laughed but once, for the echoes were strange to hear, and the wind in the hallways howled as a green-eyed wolf might cry, and I heard my heart, I must look on the face of a man or die. So I crept to my mirrored face, and I looked. I saw it grown by the light in my shaking hand to the like of masks of stone, and with horror I shrieked aloud as I flung my torch and fled, and a fire snake writhed where it fell, and at midnight the sky was red. And at morn, when the House of Hate was a ruin, despoiled of flame, I fell at mine enemy's feet, and besought him to slay my shame. But he looked in mine's eyes and smiled, and his eyes were calm and great. You rave or have dreamed, he said. I saw not your House of Hate. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Arrowmaker by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Gabi. The Arrowmaker. Day in, day out, or sun or rain, or sallow leaf or summer grain, beneath the wintry morning moon, or through a red smouldering afternoon, with simple joy, with careful pride, he plies the craft he long has plied, to shape the stave, to set the sting, to fit the shaft with irised wing, and farers by may hear him sing, for still his door is wide. Laugh and sigh, live and die, the world rings round, I know not, I, if north or south mine arrows fly. And sometimes while he works he dreams, and on his soul a vision gleams, some storied field fought long ago, where arrows fell as thick as snow. His breath comes fast, his eyes grow bright, to think upon that ancient fight. Oh, leaping from the strained string, against an armored wrong to ring, brave the songs that arrows sing. He weighs the finished flight. Live and die, by and by, the sun kills dark, I know not, I, in what good fight mine arrows fly. Or at the grey hour, weary grown, when curfew o'er the world is blown, he sees as in a magic glass some lost and lonely mountain pass, and lo, a sign of deathful rout, the mocking vine has wound about, an earth-fixed arrow by a spring, all greenly mossed, a mouldered thing, that stifled shaft no more shall sing. He shakes his head in doubt. Laugh and sigh, live and die. The hand is blind, I know not, I, in what lost pass mine arrows lie. One to east, one to west, another for the eagle's breast. The archer and the wind knows best, the stars are in the sky, he lays his arrows by. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Nest in a Lyre by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Anusha Iyer. As sign before a playhouse serves a giant lyre, ornately gilded, on whose convenient coins and curves the pert brown sparrows late have builded. They flit and flirt and prune their wings, not awed at all by golden glitter, and make among the silent strings their satisfied ephemeral twitter. Ah, somewhat so we perch and flit, and spy some crumb and dash to win it, and with a witty chirping twit, our sheltering time, there's nothing in it. In life's large frame, a glorious lyre's, we nest, content, our season flighty, nor guess we brush the powerful wires, might witch the stars with music mighty. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Thisbe by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Anusha Iyer. The garden within was shaded and guarded about from sight. The fragrance flowed to the south wind, the fountain leaped to the light. And the street without was narrow and dusty and hot and mean. But the bush that bore white roses, she leaned to the fence between. And softly she sought a crevice in that barrier blank and tall, and shyly she thrust out through it her loveliest bud of all. And tender to touch, and gracious, and pure as the moon's pure shine, the full rose paled and was perfect, for whose eyes, for whose lips but mine? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Spring Beauties by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Anusha Iyer. The Puritan Spring Beauties stood freshly clad for church. A thrush, white-breasted, over them sat singing on his perch. Happy be, for fair are ye, the gentle singer told them. But presently a buff-coat bee came booming up to scold them. Vanity, oh vanity! Young maids, beware of vanity! Grumbled out the buff-coat bee, half parson-like, half soldierly. The sweet-faced maidens trembled, with pretty pinky blushes, convinced that it was wicked to listen to the thrushes, and when, that shady afternoon, I chanced that way to pass, they hung their little bonnets down and looked into the grass, all because the buff-coat bee lectured them so solemnly. Vanity, oh vanity! Young maids, beware of vanity! End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Kinship by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Anusha Iyer. A lily grew in the tangle, in a flame-red garment dressed, and many a ruby spangle besprinkled her tawny breast. And the silken moth sailed by her, with a swift and a snow-white sail. Not a gilt-girt bee came nigh her, nor a fly in his gay green mail. And the bronze-brown wings and the golden, o'er the billowing meadows blown, was still as by magic holden from the lily that flamed alone, till over the fragrant tangle a wanderer winging went, and with many a ruby spangle were his tawny vans besprent. And he hovered one moment stilly over the thicket, her mazy bower, then he sank to the heart of the lily, and they seemed but a single flower. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Compensation by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Gabi. Compensation. The brook ran laughing from the shade, and in the sunshine danced all day. The starlight and the moonlight made its glimmering path the Milky Way. The blue sky burned with summer fired, for parching fields, for pining flowers, the spirits of the air desired the brook's bright life to shed in showers. It gave its all that thirst to slake, its dusty channel lifeless lay, now softest flowers white foaming make its winding bed a Milky Way. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
When Willows Green by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Kathleen. When goldenly the willows green, and, mirrored in the sunset pool, hang wavering, wild rose clouds between, when robins call in twilights cool, what is it we await? Who lingers and is late? What strange unrest, what yearning stirs us all, when willows green, when robins call? When fields of flowering grass respire a sweet that seems the breath of peace, and liquid-voiced the thrush's choir, oh, whence the sense of glad release? What is it life uplifts? Who entered, bearing gifts? What floods from heaven the being overpower, when thrushes choir, when grasses flower? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. At the Parting of the Ways, Ad Comitum Juniorum by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Kathleen. Comrade youth, sit down with me underneath the summer tree, cool green dome whose shade is sweet, where the sunny roadways meet. See, the ancient finger-post, silver bleached with rain and shine, warns us like a noonday ghost. That way's yours, and this way's mine. I would hold you with delays, here at Parting of the Ways. Hold you, I as well might look to detain the racing brook with regrets and grievance tender, as my comrade swift and slender, shy capricious all of spring. Catch the wind with blossoms laden, catch the wild bird on the wing, catch the heart of boy or maiden. Yet I'll hold your image fast, as this hour I saw you last, as with staff in hand you sat, soft curls putting forth defiant from the tilted Mercury's hat, wreathen with the wilding grace of the fresh-leaved vine and pliant, stealing down to see your face, eyes of pleasance, lips of laughter. I shall hoard you long hereafter. Very dear shall be the days, ere the parting of the ways. Shall you deem them dear, in truth, days when we, o'er hill and hollow, trudge together, comrade youth? Ah, you dream of days to follow. Hand in hand we jogged along. I would fetch from out my scrip crust or jest or antique song, live and lovely on your lip. Such poor needments as I had were as yours. You made me glad. Lo, the dial, no prayer stays time at Parting of the Ways. This gold memory rings it true, half for me and half for you. Cleave and share it. Now, good sooth, God be with you, comrade youth. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Fair Grey Lady by Helen Gray Cone. read.LibriVox.org. When the charm at last is fled from the woodland stark and pale, and like shades of glad hours dead whirl the leaves before the gale, when against the western fire darkens many an empty nest, like a thwarted heart's desire that in prime was hardly guessed, then the fair grey lady leans lingering o'er the faded grass, still the soul of all the scenes once she graced, a golden lass, o'er the years' discrowned sleep, dear as in her earlier day, she her bending watch doth keep, she the golden rod grown grey. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Encounter by Sere Gray Cone. read.LibriVox.org. There's a woodway winding high, roofed far up with light green flicker, save one midmost star of sky. Underfoot 'tis all pale brown, with the dead leaves matted down one on other, thick and thicker, soft but springing to the tread. There a youth late met a maid, running lightly, oh so fleety. Whence art thou? the herd boy said. Either side her long hair swayed, half a tress and half a braid, coloured like the soft dead leaf. As she answered, laughing sweetly, on she ran, as flies the swallow. He could not choose but follow, though it had been to his grief. I have come up from the valley, from the valley. Once he caught her, swerving down a sidelong alley, for a moment, by the hand. Tell me, he besought her. Sweetest, I would understand why so cold thy palm, that slips from me like the shy cold minnow. The wood is warm and smells of fern, and below the meadows burn, hard to catch and hard to win, oh. Why are those brown finger-tips crinkled as with lines of water? Laughing, why she fleetly footed, with the herd boy hasting after, sprang she on a trunk uprooted, clung she by a roping vine, leaped behind a birch, and told, still eluding, through its fine, mocking, slender, leafy laughter, why her finger-tips were cold. I went down to tease the brook, with her fishes there below. She comes dancing, thou must know, and the bushes arch above her. But the seeking sunbeams look, dodging through the wind-blown cover, find and kiss her into stars. Silvery veins entwine and crook where a stone her tripping bars. There be smooth, clear sweeps and swirls, bubbling up crisp drops like pearls. There I lie, along the rocks thick with greenest slippery moss, and I have in hand a strip of grey, pliant, dappled bark, and I comb her liquid locks till her tangling currents cross, and I have delight to hark to the chiding of her lip, taking on the talking stone with each turn another tone. Oh, to set her wavelets bickering! Oh, to hear her laughter simple, see her fret and flash and dimple! Ha, ha, ha! The woodland rang with the rippling through the flickering. At the birch the herd boy sprang. On a sudden something wound vine-like round his throbbing throat. On a sudden something smote sharply on his longing lips, stung him as the birch bough whips. Was it kiss or was it blow? Never after could he know. She was gone without a sound. Never after could he see in the wood or in the mead, or in any company of the rustic mortal maids, her with acorn-coloured braids. Never came she to his needs. Nevermore the lad was merry, strayed apart, and learned to dream, feeding on the tart wild berry, murmuring words none understood, words with music of the wood, and with music of the stream. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Summer Hours by Helen Gray Cone. read.LibriVox.org by James Thornhill. Hours aimless drifting as the milkweeds down, in seeming, still a seed of joy you bear, that steals into the soul when unaware, and springs up memory in the stony town. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Love Unsung by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by James Thornhill. 7 jewelled rays has the sun fast bound in his arrow of blinding sheen, but he quickens the breast of the fruitful ground with a subtlest ray unseen. And the rainbow moods of this love of ours I may blend in the song I bring, but the magic that makes life laugh with flowers is the love that I cannot sing. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Wish for a Chaplet by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Anusha Iyer. Vine leaf and rose I would my chaplet make. I would my word were wine for all men's sake, pure from the pressing of the stainless feet of unblamed hours, and for an altar meet. Vine leaf and rose I would, had I the art, distill to lasting sweet joy's rosy heart, that no sere autumn should its fragrance wrong, closed in the crystal glass of slender song. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Torch Race by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org. Brave racer, who hast sped the living light, with throat outstretched and every nerve a-strain, now on thy left hand labours grey-faced pain, and death hangs close behind thee on the right. Soon flag the flying feet, soon fails the sight, with every pulse the gaunt pursuers gain, and all thy splendour of strong life must wane, and set into the mystery of night. Yet fear not, though in falling blindness hide, whose hand shall snatch, before it scars the sod, the light thy lessening grasp no more controls. Truth's rescuer, truth shall instantly provide. This is the torch race game, that noblest souls play on through time, beneath the eyes of God. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. To Sleep by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org. All slumberous images that be combined to this white couch and cool shall woo thee, sleep. First will I think on fields of grasses deep in grey-green flower, o'er which the transient wind runs like a smile, and next will call to mind how glistening poplar tops, when breezes creep among their leaves, a tender motion keep, stroking the sky, like touch of lovers kind. Ah, having felt thy calm kiss on mine eyes, all night inspiring thy divine pure breath, I shall awake as into godhood born, and with a fresh undaunted soul arise, clear as the blue convolvulus at morn. Dear bedfellow, deals thus thy brother death? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sister Snow by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Amy Graymore. Praised be our Lord to echo the sweet phrase of saintly Francis for our sister Snow, whose soft, soft coming never man may know, by any sound whose downlight touch allays all fevers of worn earth. She clothes the days in garments without spot, and hence doth go her noiseless shuttle swiftly to and fro, and very pure and pleasant are her ways. But yesterday how loveless looked the skies, how cold the sun's last glance, and unbenign across the field forsaken, russet-leaved. Now pearly peace on all the landscape lies. Wast thou not sent us, sister, for a sign of that vast mercy of God, else unconceived? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Contrast by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Anusha Iyer. He loved her, having felt his love begin with that first look, as lover oft avers. He made pale flowers his pleading ministers, impressed sweet music, drew the springtime in to serve his suit. But when he could not win, forgot her face and those grey eyes of hers, and at her name his pulse no longer stirs, and life goes on as though she had not been. She never loved him, but she loved love so reverenced love, that all her being shook at his demand, whose entrance she denied. Her thoughts of him such tender colour took, as western skies that keep the afterglow. The words he spoke were with her till she died. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Mystery by Helen Cone, recorded for LibriVox.org by Jude. That sunless day no living shadow swept across the hills, fleet shadow chasing light, twin of the sailing cloud, but mists wool white, slow stealing mists on those heaved shoulders crept, and wrought about the strong hills while they slept. In witches wise and wrapt their forms from sight, dreams were they, less than dream, the noblest height, and farthest and the chilly woodland wept. A sunless day and sad, yet all the while within the grave green twilight of the wood, inscrutable, immutable, apart, hearkening the brook whose song she understood, the secret birch tree kept her silver smile, strange as the peace that gleams at sorrow's heart. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Triumph by Helen Cone, recorded for LibriVox.org by Jude. This windy sunlit morning after rain, the wet bright laurel laughs with beckoning gleam in the blown wood whence breaks the wild white stream, rushing and flashing, glorying in its gain, nor swerves nor parts, but with a swift disdain o'erleaps the boulders, lying in long dream, lapped in cold moss, and in its joy doth seem a wood-born creature bursting from a chain. And triumph, triumph, triumph is its hoarse, fierce, whispered word, O fond, and dost not know thy triumph on another wise must be, to render all the tribute of thy force, and lose thy little being in the flow of the unvaunting river towards the sea. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
In Winter, with the book we read in Spring, by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Anusha Iyer. The blackberries bloom when last we went this way, veiled all her bosom rods with trembling white. The robin's sunset breast gave forth delight at sunset hour, the wind was warm with May. Armoured in ice the sere stems arch today, each tiny thorn encased an argent bright, where clung the birds that long have taken flight, dead songless leaves cling fluttering on the spray. O hand in mine, that makest all parts the same, being parts of peace, where falls nor chill nor gloom, made sweet with ardours of an inward spring. I hold thee, frozen skies to rosy flame are turned, and snows to living snows of bloom, and once again the gold-brown thrushes sing. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sere Wisdom by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Rosehip. Sere Wisdom. I had remembrance of a summer morn, when all the glistening field was softly stirred, and like a child's in happy sleep I heard the low and healthful breathing of the corn. Late when the sumach's red was dulled and worn, and fainter grew the trite and troublous word of tristful cricket that replaced the bird, I sought the slope, and found a waste forlorn. Against that cold, clear west, whence winter peers, all spectral stood the bleached stalks, thin-leaved, dry as papyrus kept 1,000 years, and hissing whispered to the wind that grieved, "It was a dream. We have no goodly ears. There was no summer time. Deceived, deceived." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Isolation by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Gabi. Isolation. White fog around, soft snow beneath the tread, all sunless, windless, tranced the morning lay, all noiseless, trackless, new, the well-known way. The silence weighed upon the sense in dread. "Alone, I am alone," I shuddering said, and wander in a region where no ray has ever shone, and as on earth's first day, or last, my kind are not yet born or dead. Yet not afar, meanwhile, there faltered feet like mine through that wide mystery of the snow, nor could the old accustomed paths divine, and even as mine, unheard spake voices low, and hearts were near that as my own heart beat, warm hands and faces fashioned like to mine. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Lost Dryad, to Edith M. Thomas, by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Amy Graymore. Into what beech or silvern birch, O friend, suspected ever of a dryad strain, has crept at last, delighting to regain thy sylvan house? Now whither shall I wend? Or by what winged post my greeting send? Bird, butterfly, or bee, shall 3 moons wane, and yet not found? As surely it was pain of old for mortal youth his heart to lend to any hamadryad in his hour of simple trust. Wild impulse him bereaves. She flees, she seeks her strait emmossed bower, and while he searching softly calls and grieves, oblivious high above she laughs in leaves, or patters dripping talk to the quick shower. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Gifts of the Oak by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by Gabi. The Gifts of the Oak. For the 70th birthday of James Russell Lowell. There needs no crown to make the forest's king. Thus long ago thou sangst the sound-heart tree, sacred to sovereign Jove and dear to thee, since first a venturous youth with eyes of spring, whose pilgrim staff each side put forth the wing, beneath the oak thou lingeredst lovingly, to crave as largesse of his majesty, firm-rooted strength and grace of leaves that sing. He gave, we thank him, graciousness as grave, and power as easeful as his own he gave, long broodings rich with sun and laughters kind, and singing leaves whose later bronze is dear as the first amber of the budding year, whose voices answer the autumnal wind. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Strayed Singer by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by James Thornhill. He wandered from us, oh, long ago, rare singer with the note unsatisfied, into what charmed wood, what shade star-eyed, with the wind's April darlings none may know, we lost him, songless, one with seed to sow, keen smiling toiler, came in place implied, his strength in furrowed field till eventide, and passed to slumber when the sun was low. But now, as though death spoke some mystic word, solving a spell, present to thought appears, the morn's astray, not him we saw but late, and on his lips the strain that once we heard, and in his hand, cool as with springtime's tears, the melancholy wood-flowers, delicate. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Immortal Word by Helen Gray Cone. Read for LibriVox.org by James Thornhill. One soiled and shamed and foiled in this world's fight, deserter from the host of God that here still darkly struggles, waked from death in fear, and strove to screen his forehead from the white and blinding glory of the awful light, the revelation and reproach austere. Then, with strong hand outstretched, a shape drew near, bright-browed, majestic, armoured like a knight. Great angel, servant of the highest, why stoop'st thou to me? Although his lips were mute, his eyes inquired, the shining one replied, Thy book, thy birth, life of thy life am I, son of thy soul, thy youth's forgotten fruit. We two go up to judgment, side by side. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. End of The Ride to the Lady and Other Poems by Helen Gray Cone.